crochet friends, welcome to the Stitch Sessions. If you're new here, I'm Karen and I love all things to do with crafting with crochet. And in this week's tutorial, I am going to show you how I made these really cute, pretty summer flowers. And I love making little motifs like this because they can be used in so many different ways. A lot of times I like to see these on hats, usually for little kids. I think they're really, really cute. You can add them as appliques onto children's blankets, cardigans, bags, like the possibilities are endless. I was playing around with some of my scrap yarn that I had left over, and this is the perfect project to use up a lot of those scrap balls of yarn. So I made mine in two contrasting colors, so you can see right here. And it's not very complicated to do. I know it looks complicated, but it's just using all of your basic stitches. So if you're newer to crochet and you've started working on things like double crochets or half double crochets, this is a good project for you to work on. Now, these have long tails. Again, I was using some scrap yarn, so it ended up, this is what I had left over. But I've left them on because a lot of times I will use this long tail here to sew in the applique around the edges. And I always recommend using the same color as the last row you ended off in, so it gives you a seamless finish. So there you have it. This is the really cute summer flower. It's done in a couple of rows, and this will take you no time at all. So you can work up a bunch of these very, very quickly. Isn't that cute? All right, let's gather our materials together, and then we're going to get stitching up our really cute summer flower. All right, so the materials we are going to be using for this quick little tutorial are a bunch of scrap yarn. So let me just get these guys out of the way. So I would say maybe about 10 grams. Like I never know how to measure it out. I just know you are not going to use a full skein of yarn. Okay, so in fact, I have a wee little bit left over from the last flower I did here, and I'm going to use this up. I'm the type of person who likes to use every single last bit. Like I don't want to have to throw anything out. I just want to use it up and get it over with. So I've got a little bit left over here. And so I'm going to be using some of this pink yarn and a little bit of this yellow yarn. Most of the time when I use medium 4 weight in solid colors, for the most part, I love using the Bernat premium yarn. Actually, this one happens to be the Super Value, but it's the same idea. They're all a medium 4, and it's really nice and soft. So this is another go-to I like to use, especially for larger projects like blankets and things like that. And just so that you know, these come in 197 gram skeins, which contains 402 meters or 440 yards. So you do get a lot out of one of these skeins. So it just so happens I have a new one here, but this is a leftover ball, and that's really all you're going to need. Is scraps are going to be your best friend for this project. So the hook size I'm going to be using is a 5mm hook, which is also known as an H or a size 8, and it is the recommended hook size for this particular yarn. Whatever yarn you're using, just make sure to use the corresponding hook size. Okay, and then as always, make sure you have a yarn needle to sew in your ends and have a handy pair of scissors to snip your yarn. So let's get started on our flower. Okay, so I am gonna start with this last little bit here, and what we're gonna do is we are going to work from the center and work our way out. So this front layer here gets crocheted first, and I'll show you how it all works out. So you're gonna begin by placing a slip knot on your hook. And actually today I'm going to show you the very first way I used to do a slip knot, which is to just have that through my fingers there and then insert my hook from front to back and turn. And then all I would do is yarn over and pull through. So I know some of you guys are always curious as to the different ways you can do slip knots. And that was the first way I ever learned how to do a slip knot when I was 10 years old. Okay, I digress a little bit. We're now going to begin by chaining 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to find the very first chain we did, and we are going to slip stitch to join our chain into a ring, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to work into this ring. So we are going to chain 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so the chain 5 is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 2. So 3 of these chains is going to count as a double crochet. Next, what we want to do is we want to work into the ring here. Make sure, see how there's a little gap here? Right here, that is one of the loops of the slip stitch. So we don't want to work into there. We actually want to work into there, right through here. Now, if you're a little uncomfortable, if you're a little newer, you might want to chain 5 just so you're able to see the inner ring there of that little circle. But I like the chain 4 because it keeps it a little bit more snug. So what we're going to do is we're going to work a double crochet into this ring. And if you can, I always try and work over that tail. So we have a double crochet. And now you can see it's created a little bit of a V-stitch. So we've got 3 chains that counts as a double crochet, and then we have 2 chains that counts as our spacer and another double crochet. So what we're going to do next is chain 2, and then back into the ring we're going to double crochet. So we always have a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Okay, and again chain 2, 1, 2, and into that ring, double crochet. So you want to continue doing this until you have 8 double crochets and 8 spaces. Okay, so continue doing that, and once you finish that, I will meet up with you and we will talk about the next step. Okay, I'm coming up to my last section here. So I chain 2, so I have 8 double crochets, and this will be my 8th space. So what I'm going to do now is find the top of the 3rd chain right there, and I'm going to slip stitch to join my round. And round number 1 is complete. So you've got that cute little pinwheel. You've got 8 double crochets going around and 8 spaces, which is what we want. So we're going to go on to round number 2. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go into the space here, and we are going to place a single crochet. So you're just going to pull up a loop and single crochet, then back into the same space. That tail's getting in the way there. I'm going to do a half double crochet. So that means I yarn over first and then pull through. And then one more time into this space, I'm going to place a single crochet. So basically we're doing a single, half double, single. So we're trying to create that nice little rounded petal-like effect. And so you want to start with a shorter stitch going up and then coming back down to a shorter stitch. Now we do have one more stitch to do, but this time we're going to work right into the loops of the double crochet stitch. So you can see there the loop always ends up to the right of the stitch. Into that stitch I am going to place a slip stitch. So that's the 4th stitch we're going to do. So you can already see there, see how it's going up and then coming down. And that's what we're going to do for every space. So once I've slip stitched there, I just immediately go into the next space. I single crochet, I half double crochet, whoops, coming to the end of my yarn here. Okay, so I ran out of that little tail, so I've already attached my next bit of pink. So let's do that again into the next space. Okay, so we're going to go into the space and single crochet. And then we're going to half double crochet and then single crochet. And then into that stitch, we are going to slip stitch. Okay, so now you can see now that we've done 2, you can see that it's just very subtly starting to dip there in the crevices where the double crochet is. So that's what you're going to continue doing all the way around. And you should end up having 8 little sections like this where you are creating the tip end of a petal. Okay, so half double, single, and then slip stitch. Okay, so do that all the way around, and then I'm going to meet up with you at the end of round number 2. So here I am at the end of round number 2, and you can really see your flower starting to take shape. I just finished my last single crochet, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into that first little double crochet, which is actually the chain 3. And then I'm going to actually snip my yarn here, just like that, and pull it through. Because what I actually want to do now is just quickly, see that? I just want to sew this end in. I didn't do another chain because I didn't want to create any bulk there. So I just want to weave this end in so that it comes right behind here. So I'm just going to quickly do that. And then we will be ready to go on to round number 3, which I find always the fun part because this is where we're going to change colors. So I'm just going to go into the back here. So that's where it came out. So I'm just going to sneak it in there and through the back, just like that. So see, then I can really define that little dip there. Cute. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly finish weaving this in, and then we are going to be ready to start round number 3. Okay, round number 3, here we go. So we're going to introduce our contrasting colors. So for me, this is going to be the yellow. And I'm just going to place a slip knot on my hook here. And what we want to do is we actually are going to turn our work over for a moment. And this is the back side of our work. So what we're going to do is we're going to work into the spaces again, but we're actually going to work around these little posts here, okay? And it's important that you work from the back in order to get the same effect that we've got here, okay? So we're going to insert our hook into one of the spaces, come up around the other end. So you've got that post pushing forward. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place a single crochet here. So here's how we're going to do it. So you're going to yarn over, pull that loop through and bring it to the top here. So see how you have 2 loops on your hook? You're then going to yarn over and pull through both of them. So you just created a little single crochet stitch. And next what we're going to do is we are going to chain 2. So we have 1 and 2. And then we move on to the next post. We insert, pushing the post up, we pull up a loop and we single crochet. And that's it. Chain 2, 1, 2. Move on to the next post and we single crochet. So these little chain 2s are going to give us the opportunity to then create the petals behind. When you turn it over, see how you can see that yellow coming through, and that's exactly what we want. That's what creates a very integrated look with our colors. Okay, so keep doing that. Chain 2, single crochet around the post, and you do that until you've completed round number 3. Okay, so just have my last one here. Let's just do the last chain 2. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that very first single crochet and I'm just going to slip stitch into it. And if you want, you can actually slip stitch into the space, but I like to do it this way. So we're going to slip stitch into it. Round 3 is now complete. Now you can see where that kind of multicolored layering comes into effect. So isn't that neat? So it's the pink, the yellow, and the pink, and it looks like it's 3 different rows, but really we just basically infiltrated, I'll say, row number 1 from working behind. Now, we aren't going to snip off yet. This part's going to be super easy and super fun. We're going to start creating the back bed, I guess we'll call it, of the back petals. So we are now going to slip stitch into the space, and then we're going to chain up 3. So we have 1, 2, and 3. This will count as a double crochet. And then we go back into that same space and we work 2 more double crochets. So this is going to create like your typical shell stitch. Okay, so there's 3 double crochets. Now all you're going to do for this round is you're going to continue, you move on to the next space right there, and you place another 3 double crochets. So we don't have to change the height of our stitches at all, no slip stitching involved here. You just keep doing your 3 double crochets into every space. So continue to do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back here at the end of round number 4. Okay, so I finished all of my shell stitches going around, and so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to find the top of the 3rd chain here, and I'm going to slip stitch to join, just like that. Okay, and then I can snip off my yarn. See how that creates just a little pop of color in the background here. So I'm going to snip my yarn, and I'll just pull that through there. I'll be working over that tail. So we had 8 spaces, and we stitched 3 stitches into 8 spaces. So 8 times 3 is 24. So at this point, you're going to have 24 stitches all the way around. Look at how cute that is. So we just have 1 more round to go, which will be round number 5. And this is where I'm going to bring back my pink color. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to create the final edge of the other petals there. So you can see on this edge here, we create that little effect. So right now it just looks like a circle behind there, but once we do our little petal edge, that will all get a nice little shape. So we bring back our pink yarn, and we're going to place a slip knot on our hook. And I try to not go exactly where the little dip is in the first round of petals. I try sometimes to work along the top. So just anywhere around here, top of this petal looks good. And I always try and start away from where I did the last knot. It's just a thing I have. I find that it spreads out the bulk of the project. So I'm going to start somewhere around here. So this first little stitch here, I'm going to do that. I'm going to insert, and I'm going to slip stitch to join. Okay, so that's slip stitch there. And if I can, I'm going to work over these tails. Okay, so now we're going to work in sets of 3 stitches. So I've already slip stitched into the first one. So into this next one here, I'm going to do a single crochet, and then I'm going to go back into that same stitch, and I'm going to work a half double crochet. So again, we're working up in height of our stitches, and we're placing 2 stitches into 1. So I have a single crochet and a half double. Now into the next stitch, I'm going to place a half double and then a single. So I went up in size, and now I'm going down in size. Okay, so it's very subtle. Maybe you can see it already. It curves up and then comes down. So this takes up 3 stitches. The slip stitch was the first. You've got your single and half double is the second, and then half double and single is the third. And now we're going to repeat this all the way around. So in my next stitch, let me just get these tails out of the way so it doesn't confuse you. In my next stitch, I'm going to just simply slip stitch, nothing special. Then I go right into the next stitch. Now here's where you want to be careful, because you've got the slip knot here And this, you can work into here or you can work into here. You cannot work into both. This is where it can be a little tricky. Sometimes people think that there's two spots here. It's just one. So I'm going to work into here for the first single crochet. Try and get that tail out of the way for you guys. And then I have the half double. Okay. And now I work into the next stitch, which is not here, right? So I've already worked into the loop. I'm going to go into the next actual stitch, which is right there. And that is where I'm going to place my half double and single. Okay. And then I begin again. Slip stitch, single, half double, half double, and single. See? So you can see this is very, very subtle. We don't need some huge floppy petals. That would be a different flower style or flower motif. So this is just meant to be nice and subtle. This is it for your final round. So continue doing that all the way to the end. You're going to slip stitch to join, and then your summer flower will be complete. I'm just coming up to the end here. I just wanted to show you guys. I'm doing my very last stitch. So I have half double crochet, single crochet, and even though I did the slip stitch at the very beginning, I'm going to slip stitch into there again just to make it all even. But again, I'm not going to chain one after that. I am going to, actually, I'm going to leave a long tail here, because usually this is the tail I would use to sew this motif in. And then I'm just going to pull that up just like that. And then I can do that same method I did before, just to weave in a bit further down to create that little dip. And your summer flower is complete. Look at that. So this one, you can see the pink was more prominent, and then the yellow just kind of pops out a little bit. So when I did this one, I had like a purple lilac with some peach. Now, you may look at this one and say, well, how come the back is more prominent? Like you can see the little peach a little bit more prominently than the yellow. Again, we come back to that conversation about yarn weights. So this yarn was some scraps I had left over from another skein, but it is also a medium 4, but it's much thinner in consistency. So so these inner petals ended up scrunching down a little bit smaller so that the back end was slightly more visible. But see this one, it's much more subtle. So great example here. These are both medium 4 weight, and you can see this one really does look slightly thinner. I would even say this is closer to a light 3, not quite, but much closer. So don't fret if, you're making a bunch of these and they're not all perfectly the same size. That happens. It's quite normal. And in fact, I find it much more interesting because, if everything's exactly perfect, it's kind of boring actually. And so here we have our little summer flowers. Actually, I really like how the yellow and the teal came out. Just creates a nice little contrast. I think I may even make another one where the teal is in the center with the yellow on the outside. I think it will look really, really cool. And I already have a fun little project that I'm going to use these for. You guys know me. Anytime I show you guys appliques or motifs, I got something up my sleeve for them. So if you have any cool ideas for these motifs or some suggestions you might give to people, please do leave them in the comment box down below. I know a lot of times as crocheters, we're all looking for inspiration, right? Yeah, if you have any cool ideas, let us know in the comment box down below. And of course, if you have any other questions, you can also leave those in the comment box down below. And as usual, you can email me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. I'm always very happy to receive your emails and to answer any questions that you may have. And if you are new here and you've enjoyed this tutorial make sure to give me a thumbs up, first of all, and that way I know that you enjoyed the project. And make sure to press that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and you can come hang out with me every Wednesday morning when I upload a brand new tutorial. And make sure to turn on that little notification bell so that you get a little ding every time it goes live. Now, don't forget, come visit me on the Crochet Crafty website. Lots of free goodies there for you, sizing charts and planning lists and things like that, and some free patterns as well. And you can also check out my Etsy shop, which is Crochet Crafty Canada. Now, if you're on any of the socials, please do come say hi to me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at The Stitch Sessions, and make sure to tag me in any projects that you create using my designs. I always love to have a look at them and share them with everyone else. So I hope you enjoyed doing this wonderful, fun summer flower. And I look forward to seeing what projects you guys come up with using these fun little appliques. So in the meantime, have an amazing day. Happy crocheting. Take good care of yourselves. And I will see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.